can I ask you a question in line with the theme of that book then?
Of
Is that all
course.
right? Okay. So you probably heard the line out there that people are saying that this is the decade of the woman entrepreneur.
Yes.
And of course I'm working with a lot of young entrepreneurs between 16, 20, 23, 24, that kind of thing. So what tips could you give them to still retain who they are as a female while also building a business and building their brand around that?
Okay, so big question. I probably need to write about it. I'm going to get on this and just go and write this book now, overnight. That's a good idea. So one of the things that, this is so beautiful. One of the things that I really got being a young female in business, and this has probably changed a little bit for me in the last couple of years. I'm getting a little bit older, and I am feeling the maturity shift between 19, 23, and 25. There is a difference if you pay attention to it. So, and also I think it has a lot to do with my status in business has increased, so I don't deal with it as much. But I had this thing here's me wearing a skirt and heels, standing next to a guy who's like a multimillionaire in a suit, and you're like, oh, how do I fit? What am I doing? My business is not a business, it's a job. You go through all these things that make you kind of, question your validity in the business world. And let me just say this, you are powerful and you exist and you're meant to be in the business world. And the business world is not a man's world. It's just a different world. And a portion of men happen to be in it. So I really got that. I worked for DeMartini, I worked for Roger Hamilton, I've worked with Jeff and Kane, and they're all four of them are incredibly powerful men and multimillionaires, all of them. Entrepreneurs, speakers, leaders, coaches, teachers, they're incredible. And I think my experiences working with them made me realize that it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, you still have a role to play in this world. And I helped DeMartini pull one of his books into the world. That's huge, but I was such a small cog in such a big wheel. So I think it's to not to underestimate your impact as a woman and not as a young woman either. So I think that, that's definitely a foundational attitude. You need to go, not who am I, what am I doing here, but more what value can I add and what do I want to do? And kind of target the people that need you, because there are people that need it. So I've been needing to say that for years, years. So I think in terms of maintaining yourself as a woman is you don't have to put on pants, a suit, and you don't have to do that in order to establish yourself in a business world. I think that maybe there's a length that your skirt needs to be. I'm going to say that. I do think that there is a level of professionalism that needs to occur.
Especially if you're on a stage above people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's things having to just wear the right clothes. So just being a little bit mindful of that. And, I've toyed with, this is really personal, but, how much boob do we show? How much do we hide? What level is there? And there's that level, there's that bend to the rules, and there's that I'm doing this because I want to stand out. So you need to decide how you want to play and where you want to play and what you're comfortable with as a woman. So just own the space. But if you're dressing for a nightclub and you're walking into a business meeting, I think that's crazy. I think that actually is quite silly, because you may find that this is going to sound really bad, that you just give off the wrong impression and you get the wrong response. So you have to be really clear if you're looking for male approval, you probably need to step out of that world and go into the nightclubs and relationships and revisit your relationship with your dad and kind of go elsewhere and handle it and come back. Yeah. Because the truth is that, you have the capacity to be a very poised businesswoman, and it's the most fulfilling experience. It's quite an amazing thing. So that was quite an intense thing to say, but I think it's valuable. So, there's lots of different things around that. There's just, believing in yourself and not necessarily referencing yourself as a woman in business, but just seeing yourself as being in business. So, and keep the feminine. If you want to wear florals, it's okay. You can do that in a business world. And I think it's little things like that enable you to keep your femininity and to allow people to help you and to be led and to just respect other people. Respect the men for their achievements, but don't subordinate to it. So there's a lot of things,
And I think the question that you asked in the very beginning of that was, how can I add value here? Because there's things that we can do as women that men can't necessarily see because they're in a different role.
What do they say? They say, I think it was out of the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and I haven't seen that movie in years, but she's like, the man is the head of the house, but the woman is the neck. It's kind of like, and it's true, because we add a lot of value. Like, women tend to be exceptional at customer service. Like, there's so many roles that, and that's not to say that you're meant to be in a customer service role, but just means that you can build relationships really well, which is an essential key to business. And there's so many gifts that women have that are that we think aren't valuable that actually are multi-million-dollar industries. So, you know, just to not underestimate your capacity as a woman just because you've got boobs, you know, like, that's silly. And it doesn't change anything. Like, it actually doesn't change your capacity at all. So